Hi, my name is Carol Levy. I want to tell you about my medical malpractice case and my lawyer who betrayed my trust on top of everything else. Dr. Peter Jannetta, for whom a surgery for trigeminal neuralgia is named the Jannetta procedure or microvascular decompression MVD, said to me, "I promise you your face cannot be injured," and then paralyzed my face. There was proof of negligence. There was a defense of EMG done prior to the surgery that showed damage to the facial nerve and that the facial nerve had a good chance of being paralyzed. Nobody looked at those results until after the face was paralyzed. Dr. Jannetta saw me once in intensive care unit and then left for Germany. There was proof of malpractice. There was an acrylic plate put in by a surgeon before Jannetta, taken out by the surgeon after Jannetta, but somehow it wasn't listed anywhere on Jannetta's OR report or his resident's OR report. There was also appearance of ghost surgery, which means he wasn't in the room, not even in the hospital. His child was having an emergency appendectomy across town at the same time I was in the OR, and in addition, he's admitted to ghost surgery in his biography, working in a very small place. My face was paralyzed. I have a number of issues as a result of that, including the fact that the surgeon, after Dr. Jannetta was in there, said, "I can't do what I want to do because so much scar tissue was left by Jannetta," therefore leaving me with chronic pain as well as disfigurement. I had an attorney, Catherine Miraglia-Leckie, who was supposed to do the work. She kept saying she was. It turned out she hadn't done any depositions or interrogatories, and finally only did depositions of my parents when my father was close to dying from ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease. He'd had it for some time, but Ms. Leckie kept putting off the deposition. Then my father refused to pay Ms. Leckie, and we stopped the case for a while, and we started it again. It turned out the other side, for a different procedure that was prior to Jannetta's procedure that was the one that originally injured the facial nerve, their attorneys got the case thrown out of court, but Ms. Leckie never bothered to read the newspaper that she's supposed to read every single day to see if action was taken. That case was thrown out of court. I went to fire her, and instead she went to the court and got permission to quit the case without any other lawyer taking it over. I ended up representing myself. I went to court. Dr. Jannetta, in two separate depositions, said facial paralysis is, quote, "a major and common complication," of which I invariably tell my patients. He said this 2 separate times. When he got on the stand, he said it was an unknown complication. Because I was unprepared for his change and his lie, I rested my case, and the case was thrown out of court, not a surprise. I went to a kid I knew from high school, Michael Fishbein, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Levin, Fishbein, Cedron, and Berman. I remembered him as a kid of integrity. He said he would take my case. We signed a contract, which meant that he promised to be my advocate and work hard on my behalf. Instead, he had another associate in his office, Robert Unterberger, supposedly take the case, only nothing was being done. 2 months before we had the trial date, I said to Michael Fishbein, "You're not acting as my advocate." And he said to me, which he has since denied one time, "After 20 years, you lose the zest for doing this." What was I going to do? I didn't have any other option. The case was now 2 months to go to court. They picked a jury, but my lawyer, neither Robert Unterberger nor Michael Fishbein, prepped me as a witness. They didn't get any medical witnesses, absent one with whom I had spoken. They have never spoken with him. They never got a facial nerve specialist, a neurosurgical specialist, etc. They only talked to a vocational rehabilitation specialist who said my lifetime earnings, if I only worked as a receptionist, would be over $700,000. I talked to a judge who said, "If you keep representing yourself, the case will be worth $250,000 to $350,000 because you don't have an attorney." After the jury was picked, Robert Unterberger called me 5 to 7 times in a 2.5-hour period, and each time coming down on the amount of the settlement, despite that the appeals court, Fishbein took it because it was an appeal. The appeals court actually said that Dr. Jannetta's testimony was perjurious, different from and inconsistent with testimony at trial was his testimony at deposition, which means perjury. Nevertheless, they had me agree to a settlement. I was crying by the end of the 2.5-hour period with Unterberger, just saying, just get done with this. I can't take this anymore, because he kept coming down with the number, and the numbers we were talking were negligible at best. I am not allowed to tell you the number because of a non-disclosure agreement. I immediately told Michael Fishbein that Friday. I sent a letter and I called him and said, I do not accept that settlement. I was forced into taking it, and I was told by Fishbein, you must take it, you have no choice. Then, amazingly, it turned out within a month, Dr. Jannetta was nominated as Secretary of Health for the state of Pennsylvania. My case had been in the courts for 14 years, and all of a sudden, they forced me to settle it, and Jannetta got his nomination. It certainly looks like, and I have to say it has the appearance of, I cannot say for sure it was, of collusion. Certainly Fishbein and Unterberger worked for Dr. Jannetta to get the lowest possible settlement they could get, and they said the heck with me. As a result, I'm in financial trouble all the time. In fact, I just came back from the dentist. I have thousands of dollars of work that needs to be done, and because of Peter Jannetta initially and then Michael Fishbein, because he did not settle this appropriately, I don't have the money to do it. Then on top of Jannetta being nominated as Secretary of Health for the state of Pennsylvania, I found out Michael Fishbein, while he was working on my case and didn't have the zest to do it, was working on the Fen-Phen case and actually won a $58 million award for Fen-Phen. Some clients included in the class action, Fishbein has said in the newspaper, did not have any of the damage, but nevertheless they got part of the settlement. So Fishbein didn't have the zeal to do my case, he had the zeal to do the Fen-Phen case. Michael Fishbein did not act as my advocate. Michael Fishbein is the ultimate reason why I'm in the situation I am now, which is financially on the edge, as well as the reason I still have facial paralysis potentially. He could have gotten the correct experts. He could have gotten a facial nerve expert who probably would have suggested physical therapy, which no one ever did. This is my story of my medical malpractice case, a synopsis of it. But I wanted you to know exactly what Peter Jannetta and Michael Fishbein did. Thank you.